Hello and welcome to Home with Sarah Jane. In today's video, I am sharing 3 new fall dinner ideas and a new hot chocolate recipe. It is officially fall and I have been cooking up a storm, and I thought I'd share some of these new ones with you. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Sarah and I'm a homeschooling mom to 2 girls, ages 11 and 14. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by once again. I do really appreciate you. So we are starting off with pumpkin soup. Now, I just got done showing you all of the ingredients that you need to make this soup, and what you didn't notice is anything wacky. And that's what I love about this recipe. Not only does it come together in about 20 to 25 minutes, so it's a real simple recipe, but there's no like weird ingredients in here. You know, it really bugs me when I want to try a recipe and there's like some expensive ingredient that you only need a little tiny bit of. And so you use what you need and then the rest goes to waste because you never use this, wacky ingredient. But none of that's in this one here. Now, I did make this pumpkin soup recipe to go along with a book that I read to my kids on the first day of fall every year. It's called Pumpkin Soup. Now, I wanted to just kind of tie in some fall flavors on the same day that we kicked off our, fall homeschooling. So it was a lot of fun to tie in some pumpkin soup with the story pumpkin soup. But let me just say, my kids did not enjoy this recipe. I feel really bad because my husband and I actually really enjoyed the flavor of the soup. But this recipe kind of felt like it would be a really great lunch, like a soup and salad type of lunch. It didn't really have like dinner vibes, I guess you can say. It wasn't really giving us dinner vibes, but it was actually a really tasty soup. And overall, I felt like this soup tasted almost more like a enchilada sauce, which I love enchiladas, so that'll work for me. But I was even telling my husband, I was like, doesn't this kind of remind you of an enchilada sauce? And he was telling me, yeah, it does. He goes, you should try and make some chicken enchiladas and use this sauce. And it could be like, fall enchiladas. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a fantastic idea. So I will be testing that out. We haven't done that yet, but this soup actually, I think, would make a fantastic enchilada sauce. But yeah, so overall, this recipe, it went really well for my husband and myself, but my kids they didn't enjoy it. My kids are not very open to trying new foods. My oldest daughter isn't necessarily picky, but she's like a consistency eater. She's a textural eater. She doesn't really care for a lot of creamy soups. And then my youngest daughter, she was like, oh, there's pumpkin in it? No, I don't want it. She didn't even want to try it, but she did. She says that it was okay. But my kids ended up eating macaroni and cheese and broccoli on this night, and my husband and I were able to enjoy the soup. So there's that, but that's nothing against the recipe. My kids just don't have very adventurous palates. I can definitely see myself making this soup again for just me for like a lunch, because I did really enjoy the flavor. And again, I do want to try and turn it into maybe like some fall enchiladas as well. Okay, so now we are moving on to one pan autumn chicken dinner. I absolutely love one pan dinners or sheet pan dinners. That may be a more familiar term, but I absolutely love these because you don't have a lot of cleanup after. You're pretty much using a knife to chop up the vegetables, a cutting board, and then your cookie sheet. I love that because this was a busy, busy day the night that I made this meal. And I mean, you could probably even tell by the lighting. It was pretty late in the day when I was making this dinner, and we typically don't eat very late. We typically eat between 5 and 6 p.m. and I don't think I had dinner on the table until close to 8:30. That's really late for us. So I did really appreciate how easy this meal came together. It took me about 20 minutes to prep everything, get the marinade, chop all the vegetables. And then it took about 30 to 45 minutes to actually cook in the oven. So I did really enjoy this one. It was quick, it was simple, it was easy, and the vegetables were fantastic in this one. I mean, it was nothing crazy though. It was just sweet potato and Brussels sprouts, but then they had you, dice up some apples and throw them in there. And oh my gosh, the apples were so fantastic in this, in this meal. So good. I would definitely make these vegetables again. We all really enjoyed them. My kids did not like the Brussels sprouts, but that's nothing new. Now, I did make a couple of adjustments to this recipe. When I was making this, I did cut back on the amount of rosemary that I added to the marinade, and that's because my kids don't appreciate the flavor of rosemary. They say that it tastes like Christmas trees. So I cut back the Christmas tree taste for them, and I just added a little bit more thyme, and it still came out fantastic. We really enjoyed this meal. My husband really enjoyed this meal. Again, his favorite part were the vegetables as well. And honestly, we really needed something simple and homemade this night. It has been so hectic over here. I have not been able to get in the kitchen and cook and bake and, make all of our bread. I usually make a ton of our food from scratch, and I have just not had the time. We have been so busy. A lot's been going on over here. And so when I was filming this video, making these recipes, it just felt so good to get in the kitchen and experiment with new recipes. Because again, we haven't tried any of these before. So it was just so much fun getting in there. And I just love fall flavors. I love it. This is like the time of year for me that I really enjoy being in the kitchen. I typically like to cook and bake all the time, but during fall, it's like it's like I'm in the kitchen constantly making new recipes and experimenting, and it just felt so good doing that with everything that's been going on here, and I like to tie in a lot of our recipes with our homeschool. So we've been reading like all of these really fun fall books, these fall picture books in our homeschool. And then we've been having all of these wonderful fall flavors in the evening or even for breakfast. Like I made pumpkin scones the other day and I made some pumpkin muffins, all fantastic. But it felt really good. It felt really good to get in the kitchen and just experiment with these new dinner ideas. And this one was fantastic. Again, the apples in here mixed in with the vegetables and the bacon, fantastic. I was a little bit confused though during this recipe. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to cook the bacon and then just sprinkle the bacon on top after you pulled the sheet pan out of the oven, or if I was supposed to just like chop up the uncooked bacon and add it and then, cook it all together. So as you're going to see me do, or I don't even know, maybe you already seen me do it, I actually kept the bacon raw, chopped it up, and added it and allowed it all to cook together. And the fat from the bacon just gave so much flavor to the vegetables. We absolutely loved it. Again, that's probably why we enjoyed the vegetables so much. It was bacon fat, It was all being cooked in bacon fat, but it was super tasty. Again, nobody really appreciated the Brussels sprouts but me. So we had a lot of extra Brussels sprouts this night, but I thought they were fantastic. I thought they were fantastic, and this is definitely a meal that I would make again because we did really enjoy the vegetables in here. Okay, so now we're moving on to the slow cooker garlic herb pot roast. Here's the ingredients that you need in order to make this delicious meal. Spoiler alert, this was fantastic. I will definitely make this again. Now, none of the ingredients were out of the ordinary, all common. These were all ingredients I typically have in my house at all times, so super convenient. Now, the one thing that kind of threw me off in here is the use of apple juice. I had never made a pot roast using apple juice before, and it came out so fantastic. This was our favorite meal out of the 3 that I'm sharing with you today. This one was everybody's favorite. We absolutely love this one, and it was so easy to just throw together. Because you're using a crock pot, you really only have to prep it, So it only took me about 10 minutes to get everything together in the crock pot, and then I just let it sit for about 7 hours on low. And when we were ready for dinner, my husband made some mashed potatoes because I was super busy this day. So he made the mashed potatoes for me. But yeah, I just served this over mashed potatoes and it was absolutely phenomenal. I will definitely be making this recipe again. In fact, I'm like looking forward to it. But I don't know what it is with my new appreciation for apples this week, but I have been enjoying apples so much lately. I've always loved apples, but this week, I don't know. I think it's in the way that I was using them. Like, I don't typically make savory dishes when it comes to, using pumpkin or when it comes to using apples. It's always like a sweet dish, like apple fritters or apple pie or even apple sauce or, I'll make pumpkin muffins or pumpkin scones. But I don't typically use these ingredients to make savory dishes, and oh my gosh, these were phenomenal. I felt like I learned a lot when it came to cooking these this week because, again, it was like a new way of using ingredients, common ingredients that I use all the time, just, in different ways, and they just came out fantastic. So I will definitely be making this one again. Last but not least, we have Smores Hot Chocolate. This is actually called luxury hot chocolate, but in my house, we were calling it S'mores Hot Chocolate. I will link all of the recipes that I shared down below, but again, no crazy wacky ingredients here, just very basic things, and I thought this was really, really tasty. My kids thought it was good. My husband and I loved it. I will definitely make this again. It was a little bit messy to make, but that was more because of the marshmallow cream kind of getting everywhere, but it was really, really good. Now, on the first day of fall every year, we celebrate in a few different ways, and one of them is by celebrating with some kind of like fall-inspired drink, whether it's some kind of apple cider or some kind of hot cocoa or hot chocolate. We always celebrate with a fun drink on the first day of fall, and this is the one that my kids picked out. And when I printed out the recipe and I was looking at it, I was like, why is there so many steps to make hot chocolate? And I wasn't going to do it, but my kids were like, please, Mom, this one sounds really good. So it really wasn't hard to make. As you're watching me do it, it wasn't hard to make. It's just I looked at it and I was like, wait, I have to soak graham crackers in milk. I have to do this. I have to do that. I was like, this seems like too much for hot chocolate. Can't I just dump the little powder mixture into some warm milk and stir it? But I took the time to do it, and honestly, it was worth it. This was really, really, really tasty. But I do want to mention that although this was easy to make and everything, and all the ingredients were very, basic and common, it was sweet. This was a very sweet mixture. You had the graham crackers soaking in the milk, so you had sweetness there. You had the marshmallow cream on the rim of the cups, which is very sweet, which you had like graham crackers on that as well. And then, you mixed in an entire semi-sweet chocolate bar, and then there was toasted marshmallows on top. So it was a lot of sweetness. I'm not complaining. It was really, really good. But I did keep the portions pretty small when I served this. And that was because it was so sweet. It was kind of like a dessert drink. And I'm really glad that we actually saved it for after dinner because it was like having a dessert. It was really, really yummy. I do feel like this hot cocoa has kind of ruined me for other hot cocos. And not in the sense of like the actual like hot chocolate or hot cocoa mixture. It was more the marshmallows. I don't think I'll ever have hot cocoa or hot chocolate without toasted marshmallows now. I'm not a big marshmallow person, but once you toast marshmallows, it just elevates the flavor into something amazing, and I don't know why I wasn't toasting marshmallows on my hot cocoa before, but this is my new thing. I'll be doing this going forward. I absolutely loved it. But again, I did keep these portions very small. So out of everything this week, we really kind of stepped out of the comfort zone, at least my kids did, when it came to trying new foods. And that is something I typically do a lot in fall. I don't know why I wait until fall. It's probably because I cook a lot more and experiment a lot more in the kitchen. But I really enjoy matching like picture books that are fall related to food that we're cooking. And I was mentioning that earlier. So all of these recipes kind of had that. And my kids really, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun making these new recipes this week. And again, the only one my kids really did not want to try again was the pumpkin soup. But again, that doesn't surprise me. That was kind of, I was wishful thinking when I threw that one into the mix. But that was part of the fun, is just having my kids try out these new recipes, trying new ingredients, helping me out here and there in the kitchen. It was just a lot of fun this week, and I'm super happy to share these recipes with you. And I do hope that you guys try some of these as well. So that is it for today. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section. Again, I will link these down below in case you are interested in any of these recipes. And if you do happen to try any of these, let me know how you feel about them. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think they were tasty or if you guys just absolutely did not like them. I would love to hear either way. Thank you so much for stopping by. You have a great day. Bye.